You probably think slavery is a thing of the past, a dark part of history that was officially ended and left behind, right? Well, in 2024, California voters had a chance to remove every last bit of it from their state constitution, and they chose to keep it. This is the story of why a state known for its forward-thinking ideas said no to ending prison slavery, and what it tells us about how forced labor quietly continues in America today. Section 1. The shocking reality. To understand what happened in 2024, you first have to know about a loophole hiding in plain sight in California's laws. The state constitution says forced labor is perfectly fine as a punishment for a crime. This isn't some old, forgotten line of text. It's a rule that affects tens of thousands of people every single day. It's the legal reason that allows for what is, basically, modern American slavery. This loophole in California law was copied directly from the 13th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution, which ended slavery except as a punishment for crime. That one small exception created a new path for a very old practice. And California has a long, often ignored, history of using it. When California became a state in 1850, it was advertised as a free state, a nice slogan that covered up a dark truth. Almost right away, laws like the 1850 Act for the Government and Protection of Indians were used to force many Native American people into slavery. They could be arrested for something as simple as wandering around, then sold into unpaid work they were forced to do. A year later, the state started renting out its prisoners to private companies, who made a lot of money from the prisoners' work while providing very little in return. This system was so cruel it was technically ended in 1879, but the abuse just continued under a different name. Laws passed in California to support the Federal Fugitive Slave Act made the system even stronger, giving power to bounty hunters on so-called free land. Today, that history lives on inside California's prisons. More than 65% of people in the state's prisons are forced to work. They aren't asked, they're told. If they refuse, they can be punished, losing privileges, or even making it harder for them to get out of prison early. They do essential jobs. They cook, clean, do laundry, work in factories, and maintain important buildings and grounds. This labor creates over $1 billion worth of goods and services for the state and the private companies using it. And what are the workers paid? Pennies an hour, sometimes nothing at all. Maybe the most shocking example is the thousands of prisoners who serve as frontline firefighters, fighting California's terrifying wildfires for a couple of dollars a day. They risk their lives in one of the most dangerous jobs on the planet. But when they're released, most are legally blocked from becoming professional firefighters in the same communities they protected. People who want change call this what it is: modern slavery, a system that hits Black and Native American people the hardest because of unfair systems that lead to them being arrested more often. Section 2. The moment of choice. This was the system that Proposition 6 on the 2024 ballot was supposed to end. The goal was simple, and you'd think the right thing to do. Prop 6 would have changed the California Constitution to finally get rid of the exception. It was a chance to end prison slavery completely. The proposition also aimed to clearly stop the state from punishing prisoners for refusing to work. The idea was to move to a system of optional work and programs that help people get back on their feet, the kind that are actually proven to help people rejoin society. The prop even offered a benefit, linking these optional programs to shorter sentences, giving people a real reason to sign up. The arguments from supporters were direct and powerful. They said this was a basic issue of human rights. Forcing people to work for almost no money isn't helping them, it's using them. They argued that real help comes from teaching useful skills and paying a fair wage, which is proven to help stop people from going back to prison and make communities safer. In the long run, that method could even save taxpayers money by cutting down the huge cost of locking people up again. A huge group of people got behind Prop 6. It had support from well-known politicians, Groups like the ACLU that fight for people's rights, large workers' groups, and major newspapers. It seemed like an easy choice about what's right and wrong. California, a state that is proud of being a leader in social fairness, was asked a simple question: should slavery in any form be legal? Supporters were confident. With a clear moral argument and a powerful group behind them, it looked like it would definitely pass. But they didn't realize how powerful fear, confusion, and a quiet no campaign would be. Section 3. The surprising defeat. When the votes were counted, the result was a shock. California rejected Proposition 6. About 53.3% of voters said no, choosing to keep forced labor in the state constitution. There weren't a bunch of expensive TV ads telling people to vote no. No big-name politicians argued against it. So why did it fail? The answer is a mix of voters being confused, hidden fears, and some strong beliefs about crime and punishment. First, there was simple voter tiredness. Ballot propositions are complicated. The official descriptions are written in hard-to-understand legal language, and voters have to make decisions on many different issues. Without a huge, constant information campaign, many voters just don't have time to research every single measure. And when voters are confused or don't have enough information, they tend to just vote no. It feels like the safer choice to stick with the current system instead of risking a change. For many, a proposition about prison work probably seemed like it wasn't a top priority, was easily overlooked, and a no vote felt like it had no risk. Second, and maybe most powerful, was the unspoken worry about money and safety. Even without a formal campaign, these worries spread through voter guides and conversations. People wondered what would happen to the prisons. If the state suddenly had to pay prisoners a real wage, wouldn't that cost taxpayers billions? What about the fire camps that depend on prisoner labor to fight wildfires for cheap? These questions touched on a deep fear that good ideas for reform come with a huge price tag for regular citizens. It's an argument that doesn't need a TV ad to be very effective. Finally, Prop 6 came up against the popular idea of being tough on crime. For a lot of people, the idea that prisoners should be forced to work isn't just normal. It's common sense. It's seen as part of them paying for their crimes. The thinking is, if you commit a crime, you give up certain rights, and hard labor is a fair part of the punishment. From this point of view, ending forced labor isn't about human rights. It's about being easy on criminals and giving them special treatment. That strong belief turned out to be more powerful than all the moral arguments against slavery. Conclusion. The failure of Prop 6 was a huge disappointment for supporters and a harsh reminder that making things fair is never easy or simple. For the thousands of prisoners in California, it means the system of forced labor goes on. It means their work and their time are still only worth pennies an hour. The firefighter risking his life on the front lines will keep doing it because he is forced to, with little hope of turning those skills into a career once he's out. And don't think this is just a California story. It's a national fight. Other states have put similar measures on their ballots, sometimes successfully. Change is possible, but a loss in a state as big and important as California sends a scary message. It forces us to ask some really uncomfortable questions. When given a clear choice to end a form of slavery, why would we vote to keep it? Is it just confusion? Is it fear of the cost? Or is it because, deep down, we actually think it's right? What the 2024 vote really showed is that the effects of slavery are not just a thing of the past. It's still alive in how our laws and money work today, and getting free from it will take more than just good intentions. It requires us to take a hard, honest look at what we believe about who should be treated with respect, who deserves to be paid for their work, and what justice really means. CTA. This conversation is happening all over the country. What does the law say where you live? Let us know what you think about all this in the comments. It's a tough conversation, but it's one we have to have. And if you learned something here, please think about sharing this. Getting the word out is the first step toward making a real change. Thanks for watching.